Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. Adrian Cole sat in the corner of his glass-walled penthouse office, staring at the city lights below. Skyscrapers gleamed like shards of steel piercing the night, and his reflection on the window seemed almost ghostly, handsome, powerful, yet undeniably hollow. On the surface, Adrian had everything. Billion-dollar tech empire. The cover of Fortune. A fiancée so beautiful the tabloids called her the crown jewel of society. And yet, when the lights dimmed and the cameras shut off, a suffocating loneliness crept in. Adrian? His assistant's voice interrupted. Dinner is ready downstairs. Not hungry, he murmured. He often avoided meals, finding them tasteless when eaten alone. Despite the lavish parties, the constant praise, he sensed people loved his money more than him. Smiles felt rehearsed. Compliments rehearsed. That night, he poured himself a drink and called his only trusted confidant, his college friend Daniel. You're brooding again, aren't you? Daniel chuckled. I just can't shake this feeling, Dan. Every handshake, every kiss, every word, it all feels tied to my net worth. There was a pause. So you're afraid no one actually cares about you? Adrian exhaled, staring into his glass. Exactly. Behind his success, a storm brewed, the desperate craving for a genuine connection, one untouched by money, status, or expectation. The audience is left with a question. Would he ever find it? Vanessa Hayes was perfection wrapped in silk. When she walked into a room, conversations paused, cameras flashed, and envy rippled through the crowd. To Adrian, she had once seemed like a dream. Elegance, charm, and the social pedigree his board adored. At the charity gala that evening, Vanessa dazzled in a diamond-studded gown. She clinked glasses with donors, laughing at jokes she barely listened to. Vanessa, Adrian whispered as he approached. Maybe ease up on the champagne. She rolled her eyes. Relax, darling. They expect me to sparkle. Throughout the night, Adrian watched her closely. She was flawless, yes, but her conversations skimmed the surface. When a waiter accidentally spilled a drop of wine on her gown, her smile cracked. Are you blind? She snapped at him, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. The waiter stammered apologies, but Vanessa waved him off like a fly. Adrian's jaw tightened. He noticed the way her smile returned instantly once she turned back to the guests. Perfect mask, perfectly rehearsed. Later in the car, Adrian broke the silence. You didn't have to humiliate him. He ruined a designer gown worth more than his annual salary, she replied coldly. Adrian stared out the window, doubts seating themselves in his mind. Was her love for him, or for the lifestyle he provided? The mask had slipped, if only for a moment. And Adrian couldn't unsee it. Maria Alvarez arrived at the mansion before sunrise, carrying her cleaning supplies in a worn bag. She had been working there quietly for months, invisible to the glamorous world of Adrian Cole. But Maria noticed things others didn't. The untouched meals, the way Adrian lingered alone in the library, the quiet sadness behind his eyes. Morning, Mr. Cole, she greeted softly one day as he passed her in the hall. He blinked, surprised. Most staff avoided conversation. Morning. Maria, isn't it? Her smile was modest. Yes, sir. He hesitated, then nodded, walking on. Yet something about her tone lingered, gentle, genuine. One evening, Maria found him in the lounge, staring at a chessboard set for two. Do you play? She asked timidly. Adrian glanced up, startled by her presence. Haven't in years. No one to play with. She tilted her head. That's a shame. My grandfather taught me when I was little. It's good company. For the first time in weeks, Adrian chuckled. It wasn't much, but it was real. Maria returned to her work, leaving Adrian staring after her. She was different. No rehearsed smiles, no hidden agenda. Just honesty. And in that fleeting moment, Adrian realized, perhaps the connection he longed for wasn't hidden in boardrooms or ballrooms, but right under his own roof. Adrian paced his private study, the firelight casting long shadows on the walls lined with first editions and priceless art. His glass of whiskey trembled slightly in his hand, not from the drink, but from the gnawing unease inside him. Daniel's words from their last call echoed. So you're afraid no one actually cares about you. It was true. Everywhere Adrian went, he was Mr. Cole, the billionaire, never simply Adrian. Even Vanessa seemed to admire more the empire he built than the man behind it. The study door creaked open and Daniel himself walked in. He had flown in from San Francisco at Adrian's request, loyal as ever. You look worse than your quarterly reports, Daniel teased, trying to break the tension. Adrian smirked faintly. I keep thinking, what if I stripped away the money, the name, the company? Who would still stay by my side? Daniel sat opposite him. That's your fear, isn't it? That you're nothing without the empire. Adrian leaned forward, voice raw. Tell me, Dan, how do you know who truly cares for you when everything around you is a transaction? Daniel's eyes softened. You don't. Unless you test them. Adrian stilled, the idea sparking in his mind. A test. Not cruel but revealing. He needed to know. He needed proof once and for all, of who loved him, and who loved the fortune. And with that thought, the seed of a daring plan was planted. The next morning, Adrian summoned Vanessa and Maria separately to his office. His black credit card lay on the desk like a weapon disguised as plastic. First came Vanessa, strutting in with a designer handbag dangling from her wrist. What's this? She asked, eyeing the card. I want you to buy something, Adrian said calmly. Anything you desire. No limit. Her eyes sparkled. Anything. Anything, he repeated, watching her closely. She snatched the card with a delighted laugh, already picturing the boutiques on Fifth Avenue. Later that day, Maria entered timidly, apron still on from her morning rounds. You wanted to see me, sir? Adrian slid the same card across the desk. She froze. Mr. Cole, I don't. Take it, he insisted gently. Buy whatever you want most. No strings attached. Maria's eyes widened with disbelief. This isn't a joke? No joke, Adrian assured, though his gaze was sharp, searching. Maria's fingers hovered over the card, trembling. I don't know if I can. Think about it, Adrian said, leaning back. It's yours if you choose. She picked it up reluctantly as though it were heavier than gold. Adrian watched her leave, his heart pounding. The test had begun. By noon, Vanessa's laughter echoed through luxury boutiques. Paparazzi snapped photos as she swept through displays, credit card flashing like a sword. Designer bags, diamond earrings, rare perfumes. Nothing was too extravagant. Charge it, she told the clerk at Cartier, sliding Adrian's card across the counter. Within hours, she had maxed out what most people would earn in a lifetime. Armfuls of shopping bags surrounded her like trophies. Cameras captured her radiant smile, but beneath it, Adrian saw something else when he reviewed the footage later. No hesitation, no thought, just greed. That evening, she flaunted her haul before him. Darling, you should have seen their faces when I walked in. The card practically glowed in my hand. Adrian forced a smile. And did you find what you wanted most? She twirled in front of the mirror, draped in furs. Of course. This is what money's for, isn't it? His chest tightened. Her words stung like confirmation of his worst fears. Vanessa saw only wealth, never the man behind it. Across town, Maria sat at her small kitchen table, the card untouched before her. Her modest apartment smelled faintly of cleaning supplies. She stared at it for hours, overwhelmed by its power. She thought of overdue bills, her mother's medical expenses, her brother's tuition. One swipe could change everything. But another thought gnawed at her. It isn't mine. Days passed. She carried the card in her bag but couldn't bring herself to use it. Until one frigid evening she saw Adrian's elderly driver, Mr. Jenkins, shivering outside the mansion in a threadbare coat. Maria hesitated, then rushed to a nearby store. She purchased a warm wool coat, sturdy gloves, and a hat, not for herself but for him. When she handed it over, Mr. Jenkins' eyes filled with tears. Maria, I don't know what to say. Just stay warm, she said softly. The card still burned in her pocket, barely touched. Adrian monitored everything. He saw the footage of Vanessa's spree plastered across tabloids. He also noticed the small charge Maria finally made, an unglamorous purchase from a modest clothing store. That evening, he stood hidden by the window as Maria handed the coat to Jenkins. Her face glowed not with pride but with quiet relief. She didn't buy for herself, Adrian murmured. When Vanessa burst into his study later, flaunting her jewelry, Adrian could barely hear her words. His mind replayed Maria's simple act of kindness. For the first time in years, Adrian felt hope stir within him. But hope came tangled with suspicion, tension, and a storm of emotions he could no longer ignore. Adrian sat in the mansion's marble dining hall, Vanessa striding in like a queen returning from conquest. Bags littered the floor, each one a symbol of indulgence. Darling, she purred, you should have seen the boutique clerks practically bowing when I walked in. Adrian's eyes were cold. Vanessa, do you even realize how much you spent? She waved a hand. Please. What's the point of money if not to enjoy it? He leaned forward. That wasn't the point. Her brow furrowed. What do you mean? Adrian studied her, every detail of her expression etched into his memory. I gave you that card as a test. I wanted to see what mattered most to you. She laughed, incredulous. A test? Adrian, really? You're acting paranoid. His voice dropped, steel threading through it. You didn't hesitate. Not once. You ran through it like a hungry wolf. Do you even love me, Vanessa? Or do you love the empire I built? The silence stretched, heavy and sharp. Finally, Vanessa scoffed. You're overthinking again. Love, money, it's all the same in our world. Adrian's heart sank. The mask was slipping and he didn't like what he saw beneath. The next morning, Adrian found Maria polishing the grand staircase. Her back was bent, her hair tied neatly, every motion careful. Maria, he said softly. She startled, nearly dropping her cloth. Yes, Mr. Cole? He pulled a chair closer, setting the black card on the step between them. Why did you barely use this? Maria froze. Because it wasn't mine. The words hung in the air, simple yet piercing. Adrian studied her face, no trace of guile or calculation there. You could have changed your life, he pressed. Paid debts, bought luxuries. Why not? She looked down at her hands, rough from years of scrubbing. Because that wouldn't have been right. I didn't earn it. It was your card, not mine. I just used it to help someone who needed it more. Her voice was quiet, but her conviction filled the cavernous hall. Adrian felt something shift inside him, like a crack in the armor of cynicism he had worn for years. Maria, he whispered almost to himself. She gave a small, unsure smile. Sometimes the hardest thing is to want something, and still say no. For the first time in months, Adrian felt his heart stir with something dangerously close to admiration. By the week's end, whispers had spread through the mansion. The staff noticed Adrian's unusual conversations with Maria, the way his gaze lingered when she walked by. In society circles, too, murmurs grew. Vanessa's friends noticed her increasing jealousy, her sharp remarks whenever Maria's name surfaced. At brunch one afternoon, Vanessa confided in her closest friend. Can you believe it? Adrian actually talks to the cleaner. The cleaner? Her friend smirked. Maybe he's bored of you. Vanessa's face tightened, rage simmering beneath her flawless exterior. Bored? Please. She's beneath us. He'll realize that soon enough. But inside, Vanessa was unsettled. For the first time, she felt her grip on Adrian slipping. Back at the mansion, Maria kept her head down, unaware of the storm brewing. She only knew that Adrian seemed different around her. Softer. Curious. The mansion had always been a place of wealth and spectacle. Now it was becoming a battlefield of whispers. The breaking point came at a dinner party hosted in Adrian's home. Guests laughed, champagne glasses clinked, chandeliers glittered. Maria moved silently among them, clearing plates, refilling glasses. Vanessa, in a crimson gown, noticed Adrian's eyes flick briefly toward Maria as she passed. That glance was enough. Maria. Vanessa's voice sliced through the chatter. Everyone turned. Maria froze, tray in hand. Yes, ma'am? Vanessa smirked cruelly. Do you think you belong here? Serving drinks in front of billionaires? Maybe you should try not to embarrass us with your clumsy hands. The guests chuckled awkwardly, some looking away. Maria's cheeks burned. She lowered her gaze, whispering, I'm sorry. Adrian stood abruptly. That's enough, Vanessa. Her eyes widened. What? I was only... You humiliated her, Adrian snapped, his voice echoing. In my home. In front of me. Gasps rippled across the table. Vanessa tried to laugh it off, but the damage was done. For Adrian, the mask had shattered completely. The woman he thought he loved had revealed a cruelty he could never ignore. Anne Maria, trembling but composed, had shown more dignity in silence than Vanessa had in her entire performance. The morning after the disastrous dinner, Adrian found Maria in the kitchen, wiping down the counters. She looked up, startled when he entered. You don't have to be here so early, Adrian said softly. Maria shrugged. The mansion doesn't clean itself. He chuckled lightly, then gestured to the small table in the corner. Join me for coffee? Maria hesitated. Sir, I shouldn't. Please, he interrupted. Just Adrian for once. She slowly sat down. The steaming cups between them seemed like a bridge across two worlds. So, Adrian began, tell me about yourself. Not the work. You. Maria blinked, uncertain. There's not much to tell. I work. I send money home. My mother's sick and my brother is in college. Every cent matters. Her voice softened as she spoke, her accent rounding her words. Adrian leaned closer, captivated. "And your dreams?" he asked. Maria gave a small laugh. "Dreams are luxuries, Mr. Adrian. What? To see my brother graduate. To have my mother healthy again. Maybe one day own a little bakery like my father wanted. Simple things." Her words pierced him deeper than any business deal or speech. This woman carried burdens heavier than diamonds, yet she spoke of them with quiet grace. Adrian realized in that simple coffee moment, he had found more humanity in Maria's honesty than in every glamorous circle he had ever known. Adrian lingered outside the ballroom one evening, hidden in the shadows. Through the door he overheard Vanessa gossiping with friends, her laughter sharp and cruel. "And can you believe it?" Vanessa sneered. "Adrian actually thinks people are after his money. As if anyone would want him without it. Please. He's paranoid, but at least the fortune makes it tolerable." Laughter erupted. Adrian's chest tightened. Her words weren't just dismissive, they were confirmation of his deepest fear. He stepped back, breath ragged. His heart hammered as the truth sank in. Vanessa never loved him. Not once. That night, when Vanessa approached him with her dazzling smile, Adrian could barely look at her. "Adrian," she cooed, "don't sulk. The world adores us. We're perfect together." But he saw it now. Perfection was her mask and cruelty her truth. Later, alone in his study, Adrian whispered to himself, "It has to end. The engagement, the charade, the lies. It was all over." The following morning, Adrian called Vanessa to his office. She swept in confidently, expecting another diamond, another indulgence. Instead, Adrian's expression was cold. "Vanessa, it's over." She blinked. "Over? What do you mean?" "I can't marry someone who sees me as nothing more than a bank account. You don't love me." "Not really." Her smile vanished, replaced by fury. "How dare you? After everything I've given up for you?" "What have you given up?" Adrian shot back. "The parties? The jewels? The tabloids worshipping you?" Her face twisted. "You'll regret this, Adrian. I'll ruin you. Everyone will know you're unstable, paranoid, unfit." "Enough." His voice cut like steel. "I'd rather be ruined than live a lie." Vanessa stormed out, her heels striking like gunshots against the marble floor. Adrian exhaled heavily, the weight of years lifting from his chest. For the first time he was free. The news broke within hours. Billionaire Adrian Cole calls off wedding to Vanessa Hayes. Headlines exploded. Tabloids speculated about infidelity, betrayal, and scandals. Paparazzi swarmed the gates of his mansion. Cameras clicked furiously as Adrian's car pulled into the city. On talk shows, commentators debated. Did Adrian dump Vanessa for someone else? One anchor asked. Maybe he finally realized she was in it for the money, another replied. Meanwhile, Vanessa went on the offensive, painting herself as the victim. Adrian is troubled, she told glossy magazines. I did everything for him. Through it all, Adrian remained silent. He didn't care about the chaos. For once, peace settled inside him. Late that evening, he spotted Maria leaving the mansion, a scarf wrapped tight against the cold. She paused, startled to see him waiting by the gate. Don't worry about the noise, he said gently. It'll pass. Maria nodded, unsure. The world outside was in a frenzy, but inside, Adrian's heart was steadier than it had ever been. And for the first time, he looked toward the future with cautious hope. Adrian paced his private dining room, nerves coiling tighter with every tick of the clock. He had hosted heads of state here, CEOs, celebrities, but tonight was different. Tonight he waited for Maria. When she arrived, dressed simply in a navy blouse and modest skirt, she froze at the sight of the candlelit table set for two. Mr. Cole, this must be a mistake, she said, clutching her coat. No mistake, Adrian replied gently. And it's Adrian. Tonight, no titles, no roles. Just dinner. Maria hesitated, then sat across from him. The food was modest, not extravagant, the first intentional choice Adrian had made in years. Conversation began awkwardly. He asked about her day, she asked about his work. Slowly the stiffness dissolved. Maria's laughter bubbled when Adrian recounted an old college prank. Adrian's eyes lit up when Maria shared how she once taught neighborhood kids to bake bread to keep them out of trouble. You're remarkable, Adrian admitted, surprising even himself. Maria shook her head. I'm ordinary. You're just not used to ordinary people. Maybe that's exactly what I need, he murmured. The air between them shifted, no longer employer and cleaner, but two souls cautiously meeting in the middle. For the first time in years, Adrian felt dinner wasn't a performance, it was real. Days later, Adrian ventured into the city unannounced, curious to see Maria outside the mansion. He tracked her to a small shelter tucked away on a quiet street. Through the window, he saw her kneeling with children, her hands dusted with flour as she guided them in shaping bread. Their laughter filled the air, warm and unguarded. Adrian stepped inside quietly. Maria looked up, startled. "Adrian? What are you doing here?" "I wanted to see where you disappeared to after work." His voice softened. "Now I know." A little girl tugged Maria's sleeve. "Is he your friend?" Maria smiled awkwardly. "Yes, he's my friend." Adrian knelt beside them, rolling dough clumsily. The children giggled at his efforts. He laughed too, and for the first time in years, it was unforced. Watching Maria, gentle, selfless, alive, his chest tightened. This wasn't just admiration. It was something far deeper. Later, as they walked out together, Adrian confessed quietly, "You've shown me more humanity in a week than I've seen in decades. I don't know how to explain it, Maria, but you've melted something inside me I thought was gone." Maria's eyes softened, but she said nothing. The night carried the words for her. Adrian decided the world needed to know the truth. At a press conference, cameras flashed as he stepped up to the podium. Maria stood nervously at the side, unsure why she was there. "Many of you know me as a businessman," Adrian began. "Some know me as a man who called off a wedding. But what you don't know is why." The room hushed. "I feared no one loved me for who I was, only for what I had. So I gave two people the same choice: unlimited access to my wealth. One saw it as license to indulge. The other saw it as a responsibility, and used it not for herself but for someone in need." He turned, eyes finding Maria. "That woman is Maria Alvarez. She reminded me that integrity, humility, and kindness still exist in this world." Gasps rippled across the room. Paparazzi snapped furiously. Maria blushed, trying to shrink from the spotlight. Adrian continued firmly, "I am proud to call her my closest companion. She has given me something no amount of money ever could: truth." For the first time, Adrian wasn't the billionaire on display. He was a man speaking his heart. The clip exploded online within hours. "Cleaner's surprise choice melts billionaire's heart" became the headline across platforms. Millions watched Adrian's speech, sharing it with captions like "Faith in humanity restored" and "True love exists." Maria tried to return to her quiet life, but strangers stopped her in the street, thanking her for inspiring them. One evening, sitting on the mansion balcony, Maria turned to Adrian. "You didn't have to tell the world. Now everyone's watching." Adrian smiled softly. "Let them. For once, I don't care about the noise. I care about us." She looked at him, uncertainty giving way to trust. "And what if the world doesn't approve?" He reached for her hand, firm and steady. "Money reveals people. But love reveals hearts. And yours?" His voice cracked slightly. "Yours melted mine." Maria's eyes shimmered. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe in something beyond duty and sacrifice, something like love. The cameras of the world might have been watching, but for Adrian and Maria, the moment was theirs alone. And as the city lights flickered behind them, their story became not just a headline, but a living reminder that the purest treasures are often found in the most unexpected places. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe, and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.